Brenda Preuss of Stamping on the Plateau in Fairfield Glade, Tennessee. Again this time I'm going to show you an old technique. It came from the Scrap and Stamp magazine from November 2004. And it actually isn't an old technique to me, it's a new technique to me, but it uses an old one as a basic technique, which is that batik technique, and if you haven't done it before, I'll be doing it in the first go around. But to do that, you need a stamp, a clear embossing pad, clear embossing powder, a heat gun to get the first start. So I'm going to stamp and emboss this leaf by Fred Mullet. This takes a little time, but not long. Just dipping it in the powder, tapping it off. And I'm going to use the heat gun. When it's embossed, you then take your colors, and I'm using the Distress Inks and a blender tool. I'm going to put my colors out on this pad on the craft sheet. And I'm using Wild Honey, Peeled Paint, and Rusty Hinge. I'm just going to pick up some color. All of this was done on matte cardstock also. You don't need anything fancy. And this is considered the regular batik technique. And it's going to leave the color where it's clear. Now that's pretty enough as it is, but that's not what we're trying to do today. What we're going to do now is remove the embossing, which is the original batik technique. But instead of just removing it and throwing the paper away, we're going to iron this embossing powder off onto another sheet of matte white cardstock. I'm using a very hot iron. I'm going to make sure that it is ironed fairly well, because you can't see through this like you can in ordinary batiking. You would have used like a clean newsprint paper or something similar, a thin text weight paper. In this case, you can't really see that. So I can tell by looking here that some of it has transferred. I might give it just another shot, just to make sure, because I usually like to remove it while it's hot, and I was talking a little bit, so I didn't remove it quite so quickly. Alright, now you see this one, the original one. The embossing powder has been ironed off. Here's the second image. Now you can do the same thing with that one. Add more color, and you can see the image popping. Here are two samples. This was the original stamping, and when I removed the embossing from that one, I was able actually to do this one and this one. Now on this one I used, on this one I used regular text weight paper on it, and it picked up that last bit of embossing powder a little bit better. So I hope you try this at home. It's a new take on an old technique, and I hope to see you again next time. Thank you.